Hey, what's up guys? It's the narrator here and I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and if your day is already over, well, I hope it was a great one. So this video is going to be about some allegations that came out from the Fire Emblem community in regards to a prominent figurehead named Mangs, and the reason why I wanted to make this video for you guys is because unlike the Smash community where the accused people stepped down from their community, this person actually ended up returning to the community after a couple of months after his apology and departure, claiming that it was all a coordinated attack on his character to have him cancelled. It's a chain of events from a man who seemingly has a terrible history of coercing women in his community to send lewd pictures, with multiple girls coming forward admitting this to be true in exchange to being able to talk to him. It also follows an accusation from probably the biggest female Fire Emblem YouTuber who claims that Mangs had sexually assaulted her in a hotel room, which we will also take a look at. And by the way, I do have permission from said person to use her story in this video as well, in case you were wondering. In saying this, there is a fair amount of content, so this video is going to address the initial allegations, and I'll make a video later on in regards to Mang's response as well. But just a reminder to like and subscribe down below if you do enjoy the clear and concise explanations, and remember, viewer discretion is advised. So who the hell is Mangs? Well, a quick search for his YouTube channel and you'll find that he is one of the most popular Fire Emblem content creators on YouTube, boasting a 77,000 subscriber count. He is a Norwegian Let's Player who closely resembles an egg in appearance and releases daily videos pertaining to the Fire Emblem game. But all jokes aside, he had a very big influence in the Fire Emblem community, so it came as a shock to that community when a user by the name of Goosaphone came out on Twitter with a tweet longer exposing Mangs for having allegedly sexually assaulting her in a hotel room at Anime North last summer. So I'll explain her story now. So Goosaphone started talking to Mangs in 2016 after he noticed her cosplay through Facebook, where she says she felt objectified straight off the bat due to every comment he made was about her figure or physical appearance in private messages. A bit later on, Mangs then found her Twitch channel and contacted her through Facebook again, talking about potential collaboration for content and her believing that Mangs had changed for the better. She thought that this would be a good way for her to grow her stream. But this is where things start to heat up a little bit. Goosaphone says that things were quite innocent at first, with Mangs asking for selfies pretty frequently. She says that the person she was dating at the time was supportive of her friendship with Mangs due to the potential growth as a streamer, and it felt like a good confidence boost for herself. She even states that over time she warmed up to him, even sharing her own sexual experiences, but this gradually reached a point where she felt like it was getting inappropriate and asked him to stop, which he did. So with that out of the way, we'll turn our focus to the hotel room issue at Anime North. So during their planning to Anime North, Goosaphone was planning to stay with Mangs and split a hotel room together, which is a fairly common thing to do for gamers and cosplayers. Initially, she was happy to get a room with a single bed, but some panelists like Pavise and Chaz, who are fellow Fire Emblem content creators, didn't have a hotel situation solidified just yet, so she offered them to stay in their room instead. Mangs was very against this idea though, claiming that he didn't want to share a room with anyone other than herself due to his introverted personality. But some interesting messages occurred between the planning and AnimeCon, with a string of drunk messages from Mangs saying things like "I love your tits," "You're perfect," and "I wanna fuck you." Initially, Goosaphone and her boyfriend wrote it off as funny and harmless, as Mangs had always presented himself as a silly horny dude who loves big tits, but it quickly dawned on her that she was going to share a bed with him at Anime North. After realizing this, she expressed her personal safety directly to him, which he replied, "I will not touch you at Anime North." So fast forward to the week of the convention, and on a Saturday morning when she was changing into her cosplay in the bathroom, Mangs was aware of this fact and walked in on her as she was changing. She says that he didn't see anything explicit, but thought it may have been an accident and gave him the benefit of the doubt, as it does take some time to actually change into those things. However, on that same night, she ended up falling asleep drunk in community member Vanguard's room. She writes that Chaz asked Mangs to just let her sleep there, but he woke her up anyways to take her back to their room. Chaz, Lucky Crit, and Vanguard pulled her aside to talk in private whilst Mangs was outside of the room, as they were concerned by his behavior, but she felt guilty refusing Mangs, so she went back with him, trusting that he would stick to his word. But on Sunday morning, the next day, Goosaphone writes that she woke up being violated. She says that she felt his dick pressed against her body. She says that he was kissing her hair, rubbing her back, and groaning. She says that she remembers this vividly, and paralyzed in shock, she laid there in confusion. She pretended to wake up normally and took a shower, acting as if nothing had happened. So what happened after Anime North? After Anime North, there are a number of receipts from Mangs to Goosaphone with conflicting accounts of what had actually happened. These messages from Mangs express different accounts from his point of view of what actually transpired. And I'll run through them real quick, but feel free to pause and read the accounts for yourself. So in one, he says that he was having a sex dream about someone else, and on another, he says that he believed that he had only touched her arm. On another, he says that he was half asleep and did not intend on touching her or remember what happened, and on another claims he had no idea what had happened and shifted partial blame onto her as well. And another where he says that he misread the situation and thought that it would be okay to cuddle up with her. So as you can imagine, there are a number of conflicting stories from Mangs that paint him in a fairly dishonest light. But moving forward, there is another conversation that she had with him that was around the time of the Pro Jared fiasco, where she says that she isn't a big fan of cancel culture, where he replies saying, "FFS, why didn't you say so? I could have groped your tits more in our room." Goosephone states that she doesn't remember him doing anything like that, and she says that she was sleeping during part of this, so she can't confirm if it happened or not. She understood that he was joking, but the dialogue worried her. There's also a message from Mangs after he had bought exclusive adult content from Goosephone saying, "You have any idea how much I wanted to fuck you when you were sleeping next to me?" He also mentions a story of how she felt a touch on her butt from behind when she was walking around Toronto with Lucky Crit, Vanguard, and Mangs, and when she looked over to Mangs who was walking next to her, he quickly looked away. Vanguard had witnessed it too, and Mangs also offered to buy her a bra when they went into a mall. So Goosephone basically ends the twitlonger saying that although she initially forgave Mangs, she felt that it was eating away at her with every passing day as more upsetting stories were emerging from the gaming community, so she had to come out with her own to help herself heal. So that covers the allegations stemming from Goosephone, but I mentioned previously that there were also allegations stemming from multiple women in the Fire Emblem community that accused Mangs of soliciting lewd pictures from them. There were 4 women in total who were managed to find with allegations stemming from their own twitlongers. Their usernames are Celile, Leah, Insane Noya, and Amy, and I'm sorry if I butchered anyone's name in what I just said just then. The accusations are well documented from Celile and Noya, whilst Leah and Amy don't present any proof outside of just reiterating their own stories. However, they all follow the same pattern of Mangs abusing his position as a figurehead of the community to solicit naked photos from the girls. But I'll be frank, and I'll probably cop some flack for this, I personally don't feel the need to go into detail about Mangs and his conquest to gather nude photographs from people in the community, especially those who are over the age of 18. Out of the 4 women, Amy was under the age of 18 at the time, but she provided no proof of his request for nude pictures. The reason why I say this is because from what I read from Celile and Noya, they willingly sent lewd pictures and flirted with Mangs. And yes, Mangs definitely pressed the girls for more pictures, even starting a currency up called Mang Points that allowed the girls more time to speak to him in exchange for more pictures, but it really just paints him as a creepy guy, and outside of the Amy situation, everything was legally fine. But look, I don't say this to discredit the women and their stories of being objectified in the gaming community. I personally think it's terrible that these obstacles exist and that they have to overcome them. But if the girls are willingly doing it and regretting it later, then it's hard for me to say anything other than Mangs is a bit of a creep and that the girls should have thought a bit more before sending those pictures. To me, it's a matter of both parties being naive and acting for their own benefit at the time. However, I will say that there was an interesting tidbit from Celile's allegations that address a timeline where logs of her conversations with Mangs were posted by her on Tumblr as she was expressing frustration with how she wasn't interested in sending pictures anymore and wanted to sever ties with him correctly, but she was fearful as he could potentially do something with the photos she had already sent. This happened in 2016. This seemed to backfire though, with Mangs managing to find the post and confronting her about it, and even bringing up the possibility of spreading the chat logs around, but wouldn't do it because he wasn't a fucking idiot. She believes that this was a way for him to plant the idea of blackmail in the back of her head if she ever thought about coming out in the future about his behavior towards her. Fast forward a year later though, and it seems like some unrelated people managed to get their hands on the private logs and were sending them around in an attempt to discredit and slander Mangs, without Celile's permission. She says that Mangs confronted her about this in an effort to manipulate her into not wanting to share any more logs and downplaying what had happened to her. Sometime after that, a person by the name of Mecha expressed his thoughts on the situation as he worked closely with Mangs and thought that the situation was just Mangs being toxic and creepy, but it seemed as though after this post, Mangs went on to apologize to Celile. However, the apology has since been deleted, which raised some concerns with Celile as she thinks that if he really was sorry about what transpired, he wouldn't have deleted the apology. The next and last thing that I want to talk about now is the situation between Mangs and his ex-designer Mina. She was someone who was in charge for graphic designs for Mangs. In Insane Noya's tweet longer, she notes that there was a point where Mangs had flown over to Mina's hometown in Buenos Aires for 2 weeks, which is in Argentina. This happened in August, but 2 weeks later, Mina then messaged Noya saying that she was stepping away from Mangs and his work as she realized how much of a spiteful and resentful person he is. She says in text messages to Noya that he was planning to cancel the trip because he thought he wasn't getting any sex and he didn't want to meet Mina there if there wasn't going to be anything between them. She says that he still came though, but made a huge scene because he saw her kiss Hello, the guy she was dating at the time, calling her a disgusting thought who dates fuckboys. She also claims that he would say things like she was a whore and that she should stop dating Instagram models because she'd live a sad life. There were also 2 other guys corroborating their own timelines of when they accompanied Mina and Mangs, saying things like Mangs was putting her in uncomfortable positions by flirting with her and getting too close when he was drunk. There is even a story from one of them that explains how Mangs yelled and got mad at Mina at a casino because a roulette worker tried to hit on her, and when she went to the bathroom, he started telling the worker that he was only here to fuck her, and when she returned from the bathroom, the dealer told her what he had said, which prompted Mangs to get really mad and leave the venue. And when Mangs defended himself, saying that the posts were bullshit and he never traveled to Argentina to fuck Mina, this was posted in response with Mangs saying in a private DM to Mina, "When I ordered that plane ticket a couple of months back, I did it because I wanted to come see you, but also because I misread the situation and thought that casual sex would be in the cards. You talked a lot about no strings attached sex and how you just wanted a guy to come take you out for dinner and fuck you. We both recently got single, you were acting flirty, I thought heck, sounds like a good idea, let's do it." Mina also commented on the situation herself in a Reddit post last month that adds more context to the ordeal. She said that he threw away the friendship between them because she wasn't romantically interested in him, and that Mangs has a habit of going from loving someone to hating them in a matter of seconds. She even says that when working with him, he was constantly berating her over her work, saying that it was bad, and even refusing payments on certain occasions. She also mentions that she had a conversation with him in person at her house, seemingly towards the end of his trip, where she told him that she wants nothing to do with him, both as a friend and co-worker. She says that he was seeking therapy for his issues, but also told her a sob story about how no girls liked him when he was 17, so he decided he wouldn't be friend-zoned anymore. She also raises a very serious matter where he admitted to getting a girl drunk at a cabin in the woods and forcing her to have sex with him to make her realize she liked him, but again, there's no evidence to prove that this actually occurred and is just word of mouth. Also, it seems as though the visit was actually to celebrate Mina's birthday, but Mangs was apparently very toxic during her birthday party, saying things like all 40 people who attended just wanted to fuck her and how she would never be a good wife or mother, and a number of other insensitive comments. Now, I'm planning to make a separate video that details Mangs' response to Goosaphone's original statement, his goodbye statement where he leaves the community, and then his return video statement. I'm not including it into this video because we've already covered a ton of information so far, but I'd also like to say that there are certain events that I haven't touched on, such as Mangs potentially scamming people, his seemingly fake statement on Mina's departure to his Facebook community, and obviously there are certain things I left out from the conversations between the girls he was soliciting photos from because they don't add much more to the conversation other than Mangs acting like a creep. I only really wanted to summarize the situation with the most important things without confusing people or overloading them with information that isn't entirely relevant. But if you feel like I haven't covered a particular event that is important, then I'd love if you could leave a comment below and let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this gives you guys an idea of what allegations arose against Mangs and the Fire Emblem community and what's going on over in their community in general. So thanks, and I hope you all have a great one.